สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. Today I'm going to share with you a Thai waffle recipe. Yes, in Thailand we do have a version of the waffle and it is different from the American or the Belgian waffle. We call it kanom peung. Kanom is a dessert or a snack and peung means beehive, and that's because the pattern on the waffles are like the cells on the beehive. Now in Thailand we eat this more like a snack rather than a breakfast, but here I make them, I freeze them, and I eat it for breakfast all the time. Let's get started. So I'm going to start by melting my palm sugar in a pot. Now, palm sugar is really important for this because it is the ingredient that's going to give it that distinct flavor that's different from, say, an American waffle. Nice butterscotchy aroma. So if there was one recipe where you really need it, it's this one. Now, to get that dissolving, I am going to add some coconut milk. And yes, this is a dairy-free waffle. Now, I'm not going to add all my coconut milk, just enough to cover the sugar, because right now I just need the sugar to dissolve. All right, that is it. And now, that right there, just coconut milk and palm sugar, pour it over ice cream, delicious. This alone, so good. Now I'm going to add some dried shredded coconut to this. Now in Thailand, we actually use fresh shredded coconut, but I can't find that here, so dry will work just fine. Make sure it's unsweetened. And what I want to do is I want to let the dry coconut soak up all that liquid in the pot. And I want to do that now because if I add it at the end and I don't give it a chance to absorb the liquid, it'll continue to slowly absorb it and your batter will sort of get thicker and thicker and thicker as you go, and then suddenly at the end you're like, why is all of a sudden my batter so thick? Now I need to let this cool. I'm going to add the rest of my coconut milk and a little bit of salt. I'm going to add that now just so it dissolves more quickly. All right, and now I'm just going to let that cool until it's at room temperature and then we'll move on. Now the dry ingredients, and this is where things differ a little bit. I've got here some all-purpose flour and rice flour, and in Thailand we use rice flour as our main starch for desserts. It's gonna make these waffles really soft and tender. This bowl is a little too big for my mini whisk, so my regular whisk is gonna have to do. And I'm also gonna add some baking powder, a little leavening to get it nice and fluffy. I've got 2 eggs here, and I'm just gonna beat them really well with my mini whisk. Yes, there's always a place for the mini whisk. And you want to make sure there's no gloopy bits of egg whites. You want to beat this really, really well. See, this is why I like the mini whisk. I'm just saying I can rest the whisk in the bowl and it doesn't topple over, which always happens with the big whisk. My syrup has cooled. I'm going to just pour the eggs now into the syrup. If you want extra fluffy waffles, what you can do is take the egg whites and beat them up like a meringue and then fold it in later. That's what I do for my regular waffles, but for these I'm just keeping it traditional. So easy, this recipe. I'm just going to pour my wet into my dry, and now I'm just going to fold everything together, and I'm being careful not to overmix everything, but because we have so much rice flour in here, you've got a little bit more wiggle room because rice flour is gluten-free, so your chances of over-developing gluten and making tough waffles is lower. And just before it's completely mixed, I'm going to add my add-ins. So add-ins for kanom peung, you have a lot of different choices. Sweet corn, so this is just corn. I just got this from the can, but you can get it fresh off the cob even better. And I've just roughly chopped it so they're not, because sometimes the kernels I find too large, but sometimes we add raisins, sometimes we add little chunks of cooked taro if you like that. What else? Young coconut, shredded of young tender coconut, or you can just leave them plain, but corn is my favorite and it's sort of the one that's easiest to work with, right? So now I'm just gonna stir in my corn. And that is it. How easy was that? Now you can use this batter right away if you don't have time, but ideally you want to let this rest for about 30 minutes. It relaxes the gluten strands. It allows all the starch to absorb all the liquid and your batter will thicken a little bit so you have a better judge of, the actual consistency of your batter. And it is a little thinner than the regular American style waffle and Belgian waffle, and that is just how Thai waffles are. So in Thailand, kanom peung is a little bit thinner than the traditional American or Belgian waffles. So the closest waffle iron that I can get here is this sort of flower heart-shaped one, which make thinner waffles. I will post the link to where I got this over here in case you're interested. But if you just want to use your regular, the squared American style waffle iron, you can do that as well. Just know that it will not fill up the whole way. So because the batter is quite a bit thinner, so you'll get like a one-sided waffle. Totally fine. I've done it that way as well. Just an FYI. So I preheated this grill and now I just have to cook the waffles. And your waffle iron will dictate how much batter you need to fill it. And I always like to go and make sure the batter reaches the very end because sometimes if I don't, the batter doesn't actually get there on its own. It needs a little help. And then I'm not gonna actually clamp the lid closed because I find that for this iron, the waffles become too thin. So I just let its own weight, the weight of the lid, just gently sit down on the waffle and the thickness is perfect. If you're using the American style thicker waffle iron, don't worry about it. Ooh, that looks nice. The underside is always nicer because it's got a fuller contact. No, it's still got a few more seconds. Sometimes I like to rotate it because this waffle iron does have hot spots. Each waffle iron has its own personality, so you kind of have to fiddle with it a little bit. The first couple of pieces are always experiments. Let's see. Ooh, that looks nice. And the underside is absolutely perfect. It smells amazing in here. You wouldn't believe it. And I had to work really hard to not eat them as I was making them because I wanted to have the whole set to show you how much this recipe makes. So it makes 5 full pieces. This one didn't quite have enough batter at the end, so the edges are kind of jagged, which is kind of cute actually. You might want to do that to just not fill them all the way and you just get these little jagged edges. And so if you notice, this waffle iron, each section makes a heart. So it's really cute. So sometimes if I'm serving this at a party or something, I will tear it all up and have individual pieces so people just eat it like snacks. Oh, I forgot to mention, these are not eaten with anything. So there's no toppings or anything that we put on it. As I said, they're more like afternoon snacks. But if you want to put whipped cream on it, if you want to do ice cream, if you want to put more things on it, you are more than welcome to do that. Oh, the smell of childhood. I used to eat so much of these when I was a kid. It's almost cakey, but the inside is moist enough that it's slightly custardy as well. That coconut flavor and the palm sugar, that is what makes this taste unique. And the little chunks of corn are like bursts of sweetness. And these are not crispy waffles, by the way. These are soft, tender waffles, and the rice flour is what makes it soft and tender, so they're not chewy. This just so, it's like, it reminds me also of donuts. I don't know, it just has the same feel, like, you know, a sweet, cakey, doughy thing that you can just munch on. So good. Need some nice coffee with this. Perfect. So I hope you give these a try. It's so easy. And if you got dairy-free friends, these are the perfect waffles to make for them. Just a note about storage. So what I do is I make them all, and even if I don't finish this, I freeze them. And when I reheat, I stick them in the toaster, and they become warm and a little bit crispy on the outside as they toast. So good. So the recipe, as always, will be on hotthaikitchen.com. When you make these, send me a photo on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. If you haven't subscribed to the show, please do so you will never miss an episode, and I will see you next time for your next delicious Thai meal. And that right there, you can just drizzle that over ice cream and it's perfect. Just coconut milk and palm sugar, delicious combination. I'm wearing glasses.
Yes, suddenly.